What do you think of the shoes that I'm wearing?
I only wore Yeezy Pods for a week straight, and this is what happened.
So this is already just a terrible idea.
My feet are wet.
If you spent 200 on them?
In today's video, I'm not only testing how the Yeezy Pods look on feet, but how the Yeezy Pods feel when you wear them for an entire week straight. And at the end of today's video, we're gonna stop by SneakerCon Philadelphia and see what people actually think of them.
Do your feet hurt?
Yeah. So the last week has been a roller coaster, to say the least. Not only because the shoes are wild to wear, but also because of the pricing. So I dropped my first review of the Yeezy Pods a week ago. And a week ago, these shoes retailed for $200. Man, how times changed in just a matter of hours. In fact, a couple hours after I dropped the review on these shoes, Kanye West dropped the price of these shoes to just $20. 10% of what I originally bought these shoes for. And at the time, I wasn't too happy.
Something crazy happened that really bummed me out. And that is that Kanye West decided to drop the price of the Yeezy Pods from the $200 that I paid down to $20. The reason I'm bummed is mainly a selfish reason, because I spent $180 extra on a pair of shoes that I didn't even really want in the first place. The good thing is though, is that a few years ago, Kanye West made a promise that he would sell his Yeezy shoes for $20 and make them available to everybody. And it looks like he's actually making good on that promise, something that he might not have been able to make good on when he was with Adidas. And so I paid $180 extra for a pair of shoes, again, that I didn't want. I own a sock company. I don't need any more pairs of socks. So, it is what it is. I don't know. It completely changes the equation and makes the shoe a lot more reasonable. So I might have to change my thoughts on this shoe completely.
But after a few days of collective outrage, Kanye West actually posted that he's refunding $180 to anyone who bought these shoes for $200. All they have to do is email customer service.
Nice.
Which, as soon as I saw that, I did it immediately. Now that was Monday or Tuesday that I sent that email, and it's been about 5 or 6 days since then. So unfortunately, at the time of recording this video, I have still not received a response or a refund, but I completely understand that it's probably gonna take a while just because there's probably an influx of emails coming in from people who wanna get refunds for their $200 shoes. So I really can't hold that against him, because if he does actually honor this refund, great. What's interesting about this whole situation though is that I think this could have been the plan all along. Now it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but hear me out. So back in December, when the Yeezy Pods and the rest of the Yeezy merch officially released on Kanye's website, everything was priced pretty high at designer prices. These shoes, which are essentially socks with rubber outsoles glued on, were priced at $200. And it's frustrating because my entire review that I posted last week was predicated on the fact that these shoes were $200 shoes, and that's why I ended with the conclusion of these shoes are probably not worth it. Now that they're $20, I don't know, but I genuinely think that could have been the plan. People could have seen these shoes when they first released for $200 and been like, that's an insane price for a pair of socks. But then when Kanye West dropped the price to just $20, people are like, that's a steal for a pretty high quality product. And I think that even more after seeing the Yeezy commercial at the Super Bowl, which is one of the most expensive places to buy commercial ad space. It was funny because he didn't spend any money on the ad itself. And then of course spent millions of dollars to have his free ad played at the Super Bowl, which actually in and of itself is genius. I think it's hilarious. I think that's such a funny idea for a Super Bowl ad. So this whole thing seems like this giant marketing stunt, which honestly was actually a pretty good idea. And sure, while $180 of mine are tied up at the moment, when I first bought this shoe, I initially thought this shoe cost $200. So I never expected to get that money back. So the fact that I am getting it back is pretty cool. And the fact that these shoes are $20 is also a cool callback to the time that Kanye West said that he wants to make all of his Yeezy shoes $20 and accessible to everyone. Which at the time, and even now to this day, I still think is an awesome idea. I think making shoes accessible for everyone that are cool and that are wearable and that are fashion forward is a great idea. It's something that he wanted to do with the foam runners, but he wasn't able to, presumably because of manufacturing costs and also maybe being blocked by Adidas. No one really knows for sure. But now in 2024, we are finally getting the $20 Yeezy. And while yes, this shoe is not exactly what anyone wanted from a pair of $20 Yeezys, it makes sense that this is a shoe that we're getting for $20 because it's literally a sock with the rubber outsole. So with all of that in mind, think about this review as sort of a re-review of these shoes, with a new conclusion at the end based on the fact that these shoes are $20. And it actually makes all the testing that I've been doing through this week seem less ridiculous and actually more justified because more people can actually own this pair of shoes. So maybe running a track in these shoes is not as insane as I originally thought when I ran a track in these shoes. All right, so we pull up to the track. I'm gonna try and run a lap at least in these and see how they do. I will say that right now though, they are kind of sliding off my feet. Not a good sign, but let's get to it. Pods keep sliding off my heels, so this is already just a terrible idea. First impressions, running in them. It's like if you were running socks with rubber glued onto the bottom. I will say though that the insoles do a good job of cushioning the run way more than I expected. Honestly, better than I expected. But as far as the shoes go, not bad. All right, so here's the aftermath. This is what it looks like. The rubber pod on the bottom, completely off my heel. That's something I'm gonna have to adjust as I walk, or something that I've had to adjust as I walk. And I didn't have to do it while I was running, but it was close. If I had done any more than one lap, would have been a
a stop and adjust situation.
Now, unfortunately, when it comes to sizing, that's something that a $180 discount is not gonna fix. Because the Yeezy Pod shoes literally only come in 3 sizes, 1, 2, and 3, it's not the easiest to find a pair that fits perfectly. Now, I grabbed a size 2 because that was a size that was recommended to me on the website. I'm a size 9, and apparently the size 2 fits anywhere between a size 9 and a size 10.5. Now, one thing that I found with these is that these slid off my heel constantly. The entire week I was reaching down and readjusting the heel pad on the shoe. And that just leaves me thinking, is that something that would have been fixed if I had grabbed the smaller version of the shoe, a size 1 versus a size 2? Size 1 I think goes from size 6.5 to size 8.5, or size 6 to size 8.5. Because at the end of the day, this is still a sock shoe, so it should be able to fit a lot of people's feet. I mean, I own a sock company called Apothecary, and our medium to large size fits from size 8 to size 12. So in theory, this should fit okay. The problem is that because of these rubber pods on the bottom, if the placement isn't exactly right, they not only don't work that well as shoes, but they're also not that comfortable. And so because I grabbed a size where my actual size is on the sort of lower end of the sizing spectrum, it makes sense that this shoe fits a little bit big. So should I have grabbed a half a size down, a size 8.5, which is actually a size 1? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have a size 1, and it takes 4 weeks to have them shipped to you, so it would be 4 weeks before you guys got an update on that. But actually, let me know in the comment section down below, if you did buy these shoes, what size did you get, and how does it fit for you? So based on all of the information that I have, I'm gonna make an educated guess and say that you should probably go down a size if you're on the bottom end of the spectrum, like if you're a size 9 and you're grabbing a size 2, maybe go down to a size 1. However, if you're on the higher end of a sizing spectrum, like for example, size 2 goes up to size 10.5, if you're a size 10.5, you should be just fine grabbing a size 2. I honestly can't speak for the middle sizes, like a size 10 or a size 9.5. I have no idea. But for me personally, I would have gone down a half size if I could have repurchased this shoe back in December. To be fair though, on the Yeezy website, they do recommend going true to size. For me, that's a size 9, so I went with a size 9. And it does still fit, I can still wear it, I just have to readjust it all the time. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's something that I've never had to deal with on a pair of shoes before. So this was entirely not planned, but I'm actually rocking the Yeezy Pods for the final day of the challenge at SneakerCon. It's a 12-hour day, walking around a convention center with concrete floors, and hopefully my feet don't completely kill me by the end of the day. So you would think, because this shoe is literally a sock, that it would be incredibly comfortable on foot. And while yes, it is more comfortable than I expected, it feels like you're wearing a sock with some rubber pods glued on the outsole. So you can't really fault it for that. One thing that I'm very happy about that they added to this shoe that they probably didn't have to add is the fact that they gave this shoe a very thin insole underneath your foot, which actually does provide some padding and actually makes these rubber pods, which are pretty stiff when you touch them on the outside of the shoe, feel pretty soft underfoot. More like foam pods than rubber pods. Now with that being said, it still feels like you're walking in barefoot shoes, like I said in my last review. That hasn't changed, and after wearing the shoes for a week, it hasn't gotten more comfortable, but I will say it's probably exactly what you expect when you think of wearing a pair of socks with a rubber outsole and an insole inside. It's exactly that. So if you don't like big plush comfort, you actually might love the way that these shoes feel. If you love big plush comfort, probably not the right way to go. I personally wear a lot of Jordan 1s and older running sneakers that aren't the most comfortable shoes in the world, but they're not uncomfortable. So this wasn't as drastic of a transition as I was expecting. I really don't wear those like overly plush shoes all the time just because it makes my feet hurt after a while because they're too soft. So again, I wasn't a fish out of water with these guys. It's funny that I say that because they look like scuba shoes, but it definitely only feels like there's just a little bit of material underneath your foot, which is actually exactly the case. And I actually think that makes a lot of sense when the shoe is priced at $20 because midsole foam and midsole tooling is not cheap. In fact, it's one of the most expensive parts of the shoe. So to be able to remove most of that from the shoe and only have 2 different mold pieces in 3 different sizes, you really reduce the cost of the manufacturing of this shoe, which means you can sell the shoe for a lot cheaper. And I'll be honest, I don't know if he's turning a profit on these shoes. I have no idea. I would assume that he can make a couple bucks in each one of these because I mean, I make socks, I know how much they cost, and this is essentially a sock, so he's probably making some money on it, but probably not as much as we all think, especially because he had to create new molds for the outsole of the shoe. Now, at $200, he was probably making bank, but again, I think that was the plan all along, so he was probably just saving that extra money somewhere in like a different account or something, and was just prepared for whenever he decided to refund everybody. I mean, you could kind of see that from the way that it looks. It is a little bit thicker and a little bit stretchier than a standard pair of socks. Obviously not as breathable as a pair of Apothecary socks, which by the way, if you want to check out my sock brand, linked in the description below and through the YouTube shopping tab. But it does feel pretty decent on foot, and because it's so stretchy, it allows your feet to really move inside the shoe, which is nice. It doesn't provide really any support, so keep that in mind. However, it does keep your feet more locked onto the top of the shoe than I would have expected because it is a tighter weave. Now personally, I would recommend wearing the Yeezy Pod shoes with socks because when you wear them without socks, they get weirdly sweaty, which is odd because you'd think a sock would be breathable, but these are not the most breathable socks in the world. So I would, again, recommend wearing them with socks like a regular pair of shoes. And personally, I think that actually makes them a little bit more comfortable, especially with Apothecary socks because they're very very well padded, because you do add a little bit more padding underneath your foot. So it's not a lot. It's not going to change the way that the shoe feels completely, but it will help you a little bit, and I definitely recommend wearing these with socks. When it comes to wearability and utility of the Yeezy Pods, these shoes are, I mean, they're socks. They're as wearable as socks are. So if you're wearing these in the snow, as I've done, it's not the best. All right, so it's a little snowy outside, so I'm just gonna test these guys in the snow before I walk the dog, because I feel like if they're too wet, then I'm not gonna wanna walk them in these, although I am wearing these for a week, so I kinda have to. Pretty slick in the snow, not gonna lie. My feet are wet, which isn't great, so not loving that. Yeah, it's like wearing socks in the snow. These are 100% purely lifestyle shoes, only to be worn when you're walking around, maybe going to the store, going to the office, or just sitting at home. These shoes are not made for running, they're not made for sports, they're not made for even cold conditions or icy weather. These are the kind of shoes that you wear in the best conditions or at your house. And you know what, for $20, I can't even be mad at it. In my $200 version of the review, I was pissed because I was like, this is $200 for a designer shoe. And in theory, that's exactly what it is. And within the last couple of weeks, we've learned of a couple other designer shoes that are exactly like this that cost $700 to $1,000 from other brands. But for $20, I mean, there are Stance socks that are more expensive. Apothecary socks are only 15 bucks.
It was about 7 p.m. SneakerCon just ended, or is about to end. And I've been on my feet all day. I've been here since about 9:30 in the morning. Brought a backup pair of shoes just in case. I didn't switch into them. Probably should have though, because my feet literally, they've never hurt this bad. I think it's purely because I don't usually wear barefoot shoes or walk around in bare feet. That's probably why they hurt this bad. I'm sure if I did, it wouldn't be as bad. Then again, whenever I wear Jordan 1s or Dunks for the entire day at a SneakerCon, they're gonna hurt too. No tears. There's that kind of like weird hole on the either side of the shoe that was there when I first got them, which I think is just where the knit comes together on the sock. So there's that, but that's not any different than it was before. I wore these in the snow. I wore these in the rain. I wore these regularly. I wore them while I was running. I wore them around SneakerCon. And my opinion, $20, worth it. They got a lot of attention. So if you're trying to get a lot of attention, it's kind of like wearing a pair of Cybertrucks on your feet. Like, this is the kind of shoe that everyone's going to notice and be like, what are those? My feet hurt. I'll tell you that much. Okay, finally, moment of truth. The challenge is over. It's time. I don't know why I brought Dunks. For the comfy shoe at the end of the day, I don't know why Dunks was the choice, but I brought Dunks. This is after a week of not wearing any other shoes other than the Yeezy Pods. This is like heaven right now, man. Dunks feel like heaven right now. I have arch support. It's crazy. They still hurt though. My feet still hurt. They still hurt.
So are the Yeezy Pods worth it? In my opinion, for $20, which is the price of like a Chick-fil-A meal, yeah. Now to be fair, that does come with caveats. They're probably not the shoes to get if they're the only shoes that you own. Or if you plan to do anything remotely athletic in these shoes, probably wouldn't grab these. But a shoe to wear for purely stylistic purposes, or maybe a lounge shoe to throw on when you're on an airplane or something like that, this shoe is awesome. I mean really, other than buying pairs of shoes at the thrift store, you're not gonna find a pair of shoes for $20. That's an insane price for something that, while yes is very basic, is still a pair of Yeezys. So I gotta walk back my initial review a little bit because I was pretty harsh on these shoes because they were priced at $200. But for $200, in my opinion, it's a buy. Will you be made fun of in these? Very possibly, yes.
What do you think of the shoes that I'm wearing?
Oh man, I can't stand the Yeezy Pods, man. I honestly, God, like if I didn't know that like you posted your video on the Yeezy Pods, I would have just guessed you were wearing socks. Nah, it's cap. I hate them.
What do you think of the Yeezy Pods?
They're tough, honestly. I don't mind them.
Fair enough. You bought a pair?
Yeah.
You do you, but not for me, but you do you. Not for me, but yeah, it is what it is.
They look pretty comfy, honestly. $20 though is $20. That's pretty crazy. I love them.
They don't really look like shoes. They look like socks, to tell you the truth. But looks like they would be comfortable.
How are those? Are those comfortable?
Not even a little bit. Actually, I threw some Walmart slippers in them.
Controversial opinion, I love the Yeezy Pod. I think Kanye's doing a good job now that he's not with Adidas anymore. I think he's got good sneakers to come. I didn't get a pair yet. My pair's in the mail. I don't know how they're going to fit, but I'm excited to get them.
Did you get them for 20 or did you get them for 200?
I got them for 20 after I saw the Super Bowl commercial.
It was a Super Bowl commercial that got you.
Yeah, my friend was like, they're $20. I just got a pair. I got like a couple t-shirts.
The Yeezy Pods, man, I missed out on the 20 drop. I missed out. What am I gonna do? But I never miss out on these, ever.
I think they're well worth the $20, not the $200. So if you spend $200 on them, I mean, I would spend $20, but they're interesting, so yeah.
Honestly, bro, I was just talking to my girl just recently, and I was thinking about getting them, so I would mess with them for sure. Yeah, I would give it a shot. They so different, and I was like, I've never actually seen something like this before. Yeah. And what he's doing with it, even crediting back to everybody the 180 for it, I would definitely mess with those, just for the culture.
Very unique, futuristic. I like it. I personally bought a couple of pairs too.
Honestly,
They look mad comfortable.
They look like the sweatsuits that would like you wear when like you go surfing.
They're different, but I want to see how they look on me. Because you see, it's like a little gap there. Yeah, and it's kind of weird. Do your feet hurt?
Honestly, at first I didn't like them for 200, but once they hit the website for 20, I had to get them. I bought everything on the website. I want to do a review with them, but definitely right when I get them, I'm putting them on feet for sure.
But hey, that pretty much wraps up my thoughts on the Yeezy Pod shoes. Make sure to let me know your thoughts on these shoes in the comment section down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I will see you all in the next one.